Many thanks for joining us on News Now on TV360 Nigeria. I am Anetta Felix. Now we'll begin in southwest Nigeria, where Nigerian lawmakers are demanding an end to the killings in Zamfara State. During plenary on Wednesday, Deputy Senate President Ike Ikweremadu called on the federal government to declare a state of emergency in the troubled region to adequately address the issue. Meanwhile, Senator representing Taraba South, Emmanuel Baucha, is advocating for legislation that will allow citizens to have access to arms as a means to address the unjust killings of innocent people by armed bandits and kidnappers. TV360's Tunji Oye will bring us that report.
Security situation in Nigeria, especially Zamfara State, top agenda of Senate plenary on Wednesday. Senate discussed the loss of lives and properties in Zamfara and how thousands have been rendered homeless by the crisis. Kabir Marafa, who represents Zamfara Central, and the Senate opened discussion with a lamentation of what he described as horrible experiences and dehumanized lifestyle the people of the state have been subjected to as a result of insecurity.
The crisis in Zamfara State is capable of, like I said, engulfing the whole of western states. As I talk to you today, Mr. President, more than 75% of people in Zamfara State are not sleeping in their houses. More than these 44,000 orphans roam across streets and everything, and nothing is being done, to take care of this situation.
I remember I was sent a delegation headed by the Senate leader on a fact-finding. He came back with very troubling reports. I remember too that in that report we are told that the whole of Zamfara have been engulfed, except possibly one local government. And I don't know how safe that local government is today. And thereafter, the media started paying attention. So I must also commend the media. Today, almost all the newspapers in Nigeria made efforts to report about the problems in Zamfara. And I think we need to join them to show concern in what's going on in Zamfara.
All the efforts that have been invested in Zamfara has not translated into an effective result that will bring an end to the killings, the violence, and the kidnappings. We have seen all sorts of operations Tiger, Scorpion, Lions, and all sorts of sloganeering by security agencies to address the issue, but it has not been able to be tackled. Every life matters. And what is happening in that very state is symptomatic. It's symptomatic of the fact that we are failing as a nation. And these are all symptoms of a failing state.
At the end of the day, this matter will become a national matter that will consume every state. And gradually it is spreading. Because insurgency is no longer restricted to Northeast alone now. The elements have spread in other parts of the country. And like jokes, some of them, most of the kidnappings that are taking place are actually the insurgents. They are raising money to go and concentrate and begin a new wave of attack. In the Senate, in this 8th Senate, before the election I'm talking of, some of us had chosen to shy away from speaking the truth, probably because of elections. Thank God now elections have come and gone. Can we now act like statesmen and protect the lives of Nigerians? Let us stop grandstanding. Let us stop playing to the gallery and tell the truth that as a government, we are actually failing in protecting the lives of Nigerians.
It is not only Zamfara that is facing this crisis, but the kind of wanton killing on a daily basis calls for a drastic measure. Taraba too has crisis. Adamawa is in crisis. Kaduna is in crisis. Rivers is in crisis. Niger is in crisis. Plateau is in crisis. Benue is in crisis. Katsina too is in crisis. So if we looked at all the 36 states, virtually almost 80% of our states are in need of one security agencies or the other.
This constitution can never give us progress. This constitution can never give us peace. This constitution can never give us unity. And unfortunately, most of us in this National Assembly, we don't have the spine to face what we need to give this republic to have peace and progress. What do I mean? This constitution has 68 items. 68 on the exclusive list. This constitution has only 12 on the concurrent list. And those 12 are written so nebulously, so fraudulently, that you know that the intention is to even undermine those concurrent lists.
It was a debate that senators were both emotionally sympathetic about and at the same time determined to find a lasting solution to. At the end of the debate, Senate submitted that 10 billion naira be approved by the federal government as a palliative measure for displaced victims of Zamfara crisis. From Abuja, Tunji Oye, TV360 News.
Meanwhile, the Nigerian government has issued a warning to groups and individuals conniving with bandits to carry out attacks in the northwest. The Minister of Defense, Mansur Danali, issued the warning on behalf of the government in a statement released by his spokesperson. Danali said the Ministry of Defense was concerned about the security challenges in the region, particularly in Zamfara, Sokoto and Katsina State, as well as the Beningwari axis of Kaduna State. He further revealed that some unpatriotic persons, including highly placed traditional rulers in the areas, are helping bandits with intelligence to perpetrate their unlawful acts or to compromise military operations. The ministry is now warning that the armed forces have been directed to deal decisively with anybody identified helping the bandits under whatever guise, no matter how highly placed the person or persons may be. Now, still on security matters, the Inspector General of Police, Muhammad Adamu, has continued on the spot assessment of areas affected by the recent spate of bandit attacks in the country. The police boss, who has visited Kaduna, Zamfara and Sokoto State, is currently in Katsina, where he met with the state governor, Aminu Masari. Adamu, who urged the men of the force to deal decisively with armed bandits and other criminal elements terrorizing Katsina, also promised that the police is working tirelessly to ensure the return of peace and normalcy to the northern part of Nigeria. The police last week launched Operation Puff Ada in northwest Nigeria to flush out bandits and other criminal elements in the region. Meanwhile, the Nigerian Air Force says it has destroyed several bandits' hideouts in Zamfara State. The success was announced by the first spokesperson, Ibikunle Daramola, who further revealed that a total of 8 bandits' hideouts were destroyed, while scores of fighters were neutralized. He listed some of the areas to include Damboru, Subobu, West Malamawa, Buturia Pond and Rugu Forest. Daramola also noted that dozens of weapons and ammunition were recovered from the bandits during the raids. Still on matters affecting the north of Nigeria, the Northeast Development Commission, NEDC, has presented a 55 billion naira budget to the National Assembly for scrutiny and approval. Now, a breakdown of the budget shows that 10 billion naira will be used for takeoff, while 45 billion naira will be used for humanitarian and developmental interventions in the region. Speaking during the presentation, the Managing Director and Chief Executive Officer of the NEDC, Mohammed Al-Khali, stated that the Commission is entitled to a sum of 55 billion naira as indicated in the 2019 federal government budget. He further noted that recruitment of initial core staff as well as appointment of consultants to assist in the takeoff of the Commission was also included in the budget estimate. The NEDC is charged with the responsibility of receiving, managing funds allocated by the federal government and international donors for the resettlement, rehabilitation, integration of victims of insurgency, terrorism in the northeast states of Adamawa, Bauchi, Borno, Gombe, Taraba, and Yobe. And now to judicial matters. The Supreme Court of Nigeria on Wednesday dismissed an appeal filed by members of the sacked Balogu Fulani-led Executive Committee of the All Progressives Congress in Kwara State. A 5-man panel of the Apex Court unanimously struck out the appeal for being incompetent on the grounds that the case was submitted to the court outside the 14-day time limit in accordance with the court rules. Fulani had filed an appeal against the decision of the Ilori Division of the Court of Appeal delivered on February 12, striking out their case against the APC, its national chairman Adams Oshomole, and others. The appellant had filed a notice of appeal against the Court of Appeal's decision on February 14th, but Justice Ariwola noted that the appellant, however, failed to transmit the record of appeal from the Court of Appeal to the Supreme Court until March 4. Meanwhile, the Federal High Court in Abuja has adjourned the ongoing trial of a former governor of Adamawa State, Murtala Nyako, until May 13th. When the matter was called, counsel to the EFCC, Oluwaleke Atolagbe, told the court that Nyako's counsel, Kanu Agobi, SEN, wrote a letter to the prosecution saying that he would be absent in court. Counsel from the defense team, Bat Oga, also told the court that they needed more time to get records of proceedings of the court to enable them prepare to cross-examine the witness. After listening to their prayers, the trial judge, Justice Okon Abang, adjourned the matter until May 13, May 14, and May 15. Nyako is being prosecuted alongside his son, Abdulaziz Nyako, Abubakar Aliyu, and Abdul Fik Abba on a 37-count charge of criminal conspiracy, stealing, abuse of office, and money laundering. The Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, has fixed November 2nd, 2019 to conduct governorship elections in Kogi and Bayelsa State. INEC's National Commissioner and Chairman, Voter Education and Information, Festus Okoye, explained that the official notice for both elections would be issued on August 1st. He also revealed that political parties who intended to field candidates would conduct their primaries from August 2nd to 29th, while campaigns will resume on August 2nd and end on October 31st, 2019. Okoye further stated that the timetable was approved during the meeting at its headquarters in Abuja. He urged all stakeholders in the coming elections to take cognizance of the timetable and schedule of activities and adhere strictly to them. The Administration of Criminal Justice Act, ACJA, was passed into law to ensure compliance to human rights law, protect the interests of persons who have not yet been convicted, and to correct flaws in Nigeria's judicial system. However, 17 states in Nigeria are yet to implement the act. Now, the CLEAN Foundation, formerly known as the Center for Law Enforcement Education, is advocating for states in Nigeria to implement the act to preserve the rights of all Nigerians.
It is gratifying to note that currently we have 19 out of the 36 states that have passed the Administration of Criminal Justice Act. We call on other states in the country that are yet to domesticate the Administration of Criminal Justice Act to do so. The objective of this act may never be attained unless and until all relevant stakeholders in the Administration of Criminal Justice system are aligned to work collaboratively to ensure that the act is not just implemented but fully complied with by all judicial actors that are involved. And that is why in CLEAN Foundation we have monitors who go to court regularly to observe what is going on, monitor the activities of judges, of lawyers, and everybody who is involved in the administration of criminal justice, and send us reports on what is happening.
The database, the establishment and the functioning or the functionality of the database is crucial to the implementation of the ACJ Act. And the previous judges are committed to making sure that the database works. And once that database works, definitely it is going to lead to increased implementation. Secondly, there is increased awareness. Seminars, workshops are being organized internally by the police to enlighten police officers on the provisions of the ACJ Act. And that has started since the time of IGP Solomon Arase up to this current IG. So that's what I mean when I say increased commitment. a lot of things are being done internally, workshops, seminars. The DPOs, they have the trainers. The provisions of the ACJ Act is already being included in the training manual of the police officers at the various police training schools and academy to make sure that police officers are aware of the implementation of the provisions of the ACJ Act.
The Federal Ministry of Health has organized a workshop to implement an insurance scheme for medical institutions. Jonah Nedamaya, head of Northern Operations, Nigeria Insurance PLC, and Nasim El Nafati, insurance officer at the Federal Teaching Hospital in Gombe, explains that the insurance scheme is to cover 48 health centers across Nigeria.
Under the Federal Ministry of Health, we have various institutions, the federal medical centers and institutions across the country. So we have them covered under the ministry. So it's those institutions like the federal medical centers, for example, KEFI and other ones. The federal medical centers, institutions under the Ministry of Health. So they are covered. There are 48 institutions under this cover now. We have a list of 48 of those institutions that have keyed in out of almost 76. You know why it's like that? Because at the beginning, we've asked them to key in and they will supply information based on the various institutions. So 48 have supplied and they've keyed in and they are on cover. And we are not saying the other ones cannot join. It's an insurance scheme. When we get their information, we slot them in at the time we get it. So they will be covered as well.
I'm expecting to be more enlightened about how to take care of government assets and property, insurance-wise. Because these are very expensive items government put in place, and they are left like that without insurances. So there are problems of theft and fire. All right, so they need to be adequately covered insurance-wise. That's why we are here to be more enlightened about how to place them insurance-wise and how to pursue in case of claims with the insurance company.
We'll take a break here and return shortly with business news. Do stay with us.
Some minutes say the incident has been managed.
This morning.
Welcome back, and we have Fidelia Aguncha for the news in business. Hello, Fidelia.
Hi, Aneta.
So I hear there's a projection the IMF is making about the economy of Nigeria. Please bring us up to speed in that regard.
Well, you're correct, Aneta. The International Monetary Fund, IMF, says Nigeria's economy will expand a little faster than its earlier projection. Now, in the World Economic Outlook report released at the ongoing spring meetings of the IMF and World Bank Group, the fund said Nigeria's economy will grow by 2.1% in 2019, which is an increase of 0.1% from the 2% projection given in January. In its January report, the fund had cut its growth projection for Nigeria's economy from the 2.3% contained in the October 2018 report to 2%, blaming softening oil prices. But the global economic body has now made a U-turn on that projection. Well, reactions have trailed the federal government's plan to spend 5.5 billion naira in training 12,000 unemployed youth in the country. While some say the government's budget is fair and realistic, others think otherwise. Well, in a chat with TV360 Nigeria, financial expert Tajuddin Ibrahim says he is in support of the federal government's move to address the growing rate of unemployment.
The people raising concerns should take a look at two factors. Number one is the huge population of youths that are unemployed in the country. Number two is what it takes to lift them out of unemployment, and what it takes is partly buying them tools that they will use after they have been trained. So that upfront give them the opportunity to become entrepreneurs. And I even think that the 5.5 billion naira in question is even small relative to what Nigeria really needs in terms of training our youths, in terms of lifting them out of unemployment. If we take a look at Nigeria, as we speak, Nigeria's unemployment rate is 23.1%. That number is one of the highest in the world. And this kind of plan or project by the government speaks to a possible reduction in that number in the coming years if they maintain the momentum.
Well, entrepreneurship is the willingness to take risk, plan, organize, and manage a new business venture in the ever-evolving and competitive global marketplace. With a zeal to own their own businesses and tackle unemployment, Nigerian youths are now pushing hard towards creating their own jobs. Well, TV360 Nigeria spoke to a human resource manager, Derek Ikboyi, who explains the negative effect of the sudden rise.
I think there's a shift from employability to entrepreneurship. And what I see in the universities these days is you have a lot of curriculum focused more on the entrepreneurship. So it gives birth and rise to some of the things that we are seeing right now. If we also have the same thing for employability, that will also encourage skills. Besides that, if you have someone, for almost like 8 years I've been recruiting, and I understand something very well, like if you have somebody who has stayed out of a job for 4 years, they're probably doing his business for 4 years, and he wants to get a job from you, you are likely not going to give him the job because that person is probably not prepared for such a role. But what happens is that if the government also, the same way they have, or the universities have raised curriculums for entrepreneurship, and they could raise also for employability, there will be a balance in both. Besides the government also helping students, because what we have in the end, like I used to tell people, we are likely going to have a system where we have a lot of jobs, a lot of people doing businesses, but no people ready to take up the jobs. So maybe in the next 4, 5, 8 years, we'll be talking of 3Ds, technologies where we can have, robots taking over the jobs, because there are no people to take over the roles, and those people who are supposed to take over the roles are no longer prepared for the roles. So first, I think the government will have to, while they are still focused on employability, entrepreneurship, they also should be focused on employability so that there could be a synergy between both.
Oil prices inched up on Wednesday amid supply cuts by producer group OPEC and U.S. sanctions on oil exporters, Iran and Venezuela, but pressured by expectations that an economic slowdown could soon dent fuel consumption. Brent futures were at $70.76 a barrel, up by 15 cents, while U.S. crude oil futures were at $64.20 a barrel, up by 22 cents. Now, both benchmarks have hit 5-month highs on Tuesday before easing on global growth worries. Now, overall, oil markets have tightened this year because of U.S. sanctions on oil exporters and Iran and Venezuela, as well as supply cuts by the Organization of the Petroleum Exporting Countries, OPEC, and some non-affiliated producers, including Russia. Well, up next is the stock market review. After this break, stay with us. Welcome back. Well, after hours of struggle, the NSE resisted the bear drag to close in the greens, posting a marginal gain of 0.15%. Now, this recovery by the market is preceded by news from the International Monetary Fund, IMF, which projected that Nigeria's economy will grow by 2.1% in 2019, which is 0.1% more than the financial body had previously projected earlier in January. Also, activities in the banking sector and oil and gas sector helped push the market value up to 10.965 trillion naira. Now, at the close of trading, a total of 24 equities posted gains, and leading the chart is Dangote Cement. Now, this is more like a birthday present to Africa's richest man and CEO of the Dangote Group in person of Aliko Dangote, who turns 62 today. And I say this because the industrial goods sector was the worst performing index today, but Dangote Cement managed to stay above water, recording the highest gain in the market today. However, it was a big struggle between the bulls and the bears, as a total of 18 equities closed in the reds. Now, these are the equities closing in the reds, and the pack is led by Unilever, Cement Company of Northern Nigeria, PZ Cussons, and GlaxoSmithKline. Now, in summary, a little above 481 million shares worth 2.8 billion naira were transacted in over 3,500 deals. Now, if you have been following activities on the NSE, you will notice that market activities are on the decline, and this is because more investors are putting their money in fixed income market and investing more in treasury bills and bonds. Well, let's now take a look at activities on the foreign scene. We can see it's all red right now for the FTSE, Dow and Nikkei, as they are falling by 0.04, 0.08 and 0.53% respectively. Well, that is from the world of business. It's back to Annetta Felix.
Thank you for that update, Fidelia. Let's now turn to the Middle East, where authorities have ordered tens of thousands of residents of the southwestern Iranian city of Avaz to evacuate immediately on Wednesday as floodwaters enter the capital of oil-rich Kazakhstan province, state television reports. Now, the province governor, Ghulam Reza Shariati, said it ordered the evacuation of 5 districts as a precautionary and preventive move to avert any danger. The districts have an estimated population of between 60,000 and 70,000 people. Kazakhstan province has been struggling with major floods due to heavy rains as well as flood water coming from the north. It's the latest in a series of unprecedented floods that have hit the normally arid country since March 19, killing at least 70 people in 20 of Iran's 31 provinces. Astronomers on Wednesday unveiled the first photo of a black hole, one of these star-devouring monsters scattered across the universe and obscured by impenetrable shields of gravity. The image of a dark core with a flame-orange halo of gas and plasma shows a supermassive black hole 50 million light years away in a galaxy known as M87. Data needed to construct the picture was gathered in April 2017 by the Event Horizon Telescope, a joined-up network of 8 radio telescopes spread across the globe. In sports, FIBA Africa Central Board has confirmed that Nigeria, Madagascar and Tunisia have submitted bid to host the FIBA Africa Women's Champions Cup 2019. The board will award the host rights to one of these candidates at a later stage, but have confirmed Mali as host of the first edition of FIBA African. FIBA Africa made the decision in her just concluded annual meeting in Abidjan, Côte d'Ivoire. Now, the board reviewed the activities that took place in 2018 and provided guidance with regards to the challenges of developing the game on the continent, as well as the organization of the upcoming General Assembly. Europe's football governing body UEFA is set to investigate Italian club AC Milan for breach of financial fair play regulations in the 2017-2018 season. Serie A giants have been having problems with the FFP since last season without remedy. UEFA released a statement saying that Milan will be investigated for the 2017-2018 campaign, as former owner Young John Lee left the club with it in a debt of 126 million euros. You're now up to speed with the latest happenings around the world at this time. Thank you for watching. I am Annetta Felix. Bye for now.